Hi guys, I'm so happy that you decided to join me for week 1 of my series, Tips from the Relationship Pros, John and Julie Gottman. If you're not familiar with the Gottmans, they are two of the leading experts in couples counseling and couples research in the US today. They've been studying couples for over 30 years using the scientific method, and through all the data they have collected, they've basically divided the couples that they studied into two categories: the masters and the disasters. And there's no mystery, it's exactly what it sounds like. The masters, their relationships are thriving and healthy over time and getting stronger and stronger. The disasters are struggling to barely get by and hold it together. So in this series, I'm going to be taking you through 4 of the behaviors that the Gottmans have seen consistently demonstrated by the masters in their relationships, and they believe that these behaviors are key in keeping the relationships strong. So today, for week 1, I'm going to be talking to you about the first behavior that they saw, and that is building love maps. Now, I know you may not have any idea what that means, but hold on, you will. So, I don't know if any of you guys are like me, but I can remember not too long ago, it seems, that when my husband and I first got married and we would go to take a road trip, the first thing we would do to check to see if the atlas was in the back seat of the car. And we had one of those giant atlases that when you spread it out, it like covers the whole front of the car. And that was our tool when we took a road trip and we were going to be in a new city. That was what helped us to navigate our way around a new city. And it was not convenient, not nearly as convenient as what we all have today, right? Like these GPS navigation tools that are in all of our cell phones, and they're updating real time to the minute, to where so much so that it'll reroute you if there's construction or an accident, or even some apps that'll show you if a police officer is on the corner so you can choose another route. So very different world, because I remember with those paper maps, sometimes we would end up in a city and the map was totally wrong. Like either there was a certain landmark that wasn't even on the map, or a street that's no longer there. And you would really get yourself in a pinch sometimes with these outdated maps. So when I talk to you about the Gottman's concept of love maps, I want you to think about that. So what a love map is basically the map of your partner's inner world. And when we talk about a person's inner world, we're referring to key landmarks and routes to those landmarks, just like with a real map. And those landmarks are things like the person's values, the person's beliefs, their hopes, their dreams for the future, and also other things that are more difficult and painful, the deep wounds that a person has incurred in life, the ways that they've been hurt, maybe the grief that they're carrying, or the loss they're carrying, or the fears that they have. All of these key elements are part of a person's love map of their inner world. And when we're in relationship with somebody, you can begin to see how important it is that you have an accurate and updated map of your partner's inner world in order to relate well. So take that concept and then think about what typically happens in a relationship. When we first start dating someone, there's so much excitement. There's so much mystery and intrigue because there's so much we don't know about this person. And so because of that, we tend to be very curious in the early stages of a relationship. We ask lots of questions, we dig, we pry, we want to know more, and we're constantly drawn to learn more and more about this amazing person that we find ourselves with. So once we stay with that person for an extended period of time, what happens to most couples again is that excitement starts to taper off as we get to know more about them. And if we're not careful, we'll find ourselves sliding into that phase where we begin to take for granted that we know our partner, that we know how they feel about most issues, that we know what they're going to say before they even say it. And if we're not careful, we begin making a lot of assumptions about who they are, what they feel, what they think, what they believe. We begin to believe that we have an accurate map of their inner world, and we assume that things aren't changing. But what we know to be true about people, our partner, ourselves, is that we're constantly changing. Just like the physical landscape in a city, buildings are going up, buildings are coming down. Our inner world is constantly changing too. We're growing, we're learning, we're shifting sometimes in our beliefs and our opinions. And if we're not careful, if we fall into that trap that happens naturally, we will begin to have a very outdated map of our partner. And it's not difficult to imagine how this can begin to cause problems in a relationship. So I hope that concept makes sense to you. And I want you just to ask yourself right now, how good are you at updating your map of your partner's inner world? How good are you at still staying curious and not making assumptions about who your partner is or what they feel or what they want out of life? Are you still open? Are you still curious? And I think all of us have room to improve on this. All of us to some degree fall into this trap. So it's just good to have a reminder that we need to stay open. So if you feel like you have room to improve in this area, I'll give you a couple quick ways that you can start working on it today. First step, really simple. Just be aware. Just begin to watch inside your own mind and look for those moments where you're making assumptions about what your partner thinks, feels, wants, believes. And try to just be aware of how much you're doing it. Awareness is the first key to change. Second of all, as you're increasing your awareness, if you catch yourself in a moment making an assumption, take a deep breath and hold off and ask. Say something like, honey, I think I know what you believe about this subject, but I'm not sure. What do you think about this? I mean, I think I know what you would say, but maybe I'm wrong. Your partner will be thrilled that you asked and that you're curious to know. So be aware. When you catch yourself, ask questions before you assume. And then one other quick tip that I wanted to let you know about. John and Julie Gottman have a series of apps that you can buy and download on your phone. And there's a lot of great stuff, but one of their apps is specific to this, and it's actually called Love Maps. And it's full of kind of like conversation starter questions that will help you if you have a hard time staying curious. Get this app, and when you and your partner are hanging out together and you have a few minutes, ask each other a few of these questions. They're light, they're fun, things like, what's your partner's favorite meal? What is your partner's favorite vacation memory? Just simple questions to get you back into the habit of being curious. And then if you like that app, there's another one called Open-Ended Questions that gets into a little deeper level of questioning about your partner's dreams, their hopes for the future. So those are great tools. They only cost about $2 each, and you can download them in the App Store using your mobile device. So that's it for today, guys. I know this video was a little longer than the others, but I hope it was helpful. And next week, if you want to come back and join me, I'm going to be talking with you about the second behavior that the masters do to keep their relationship strong. And that behavior is sharing fondness and admiration with your partner. So I hope to see you next week and hope you found this helpful. Take care.